We want to welcome you to the Richfield Black History Month celebration rather. This is my first time doing this, but we are more than exciting to be a part of this conversation. My name is Bill Green. I'm currently the new Director Administrator, I should say, for Culture, for Equity and Inclusion. This is an opportunity for us to have a community conversation about this very important time and season called Black History Month. I have a special community guest with us this day, Dr. Joyce Marrie. She will be coming back to you here in a little bit. Also, we have another special guest artist who will be joining us, which is her daughter. She'll be giving us a song. But for now, I'm going to set the tone for our conversation here with Dr. Marrie. Black History Month celebration. Many of you, the subject, I said, the theme that we're proposing for this month is ACE Race, Then and Now. Conversation series with the City of Richfield, Bill Green, Equity Inclusion Administrator. To kind of set the tone, Black History Month, as you know, has been going on since 1927 by this gentleman, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who's noted as the father of Black History Month. Beginning the celebration, Negro History Week, it chose the second week of February to honor the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. And it really wasn't until 1976 the celebration was expanded to the entire month of February. Dr. Carter G. Woodson back then had prefaced this whole idea of celebrating Black history with the idea of, again, recognizing the history of Black people, not only in America, but in the world. And I want to share this quote that you will see on the screen, which kind of gives you the tone for what we're going to be talking about today, then and now. We should emphasize, and this is a quote, Negro history, but we should emphasize not Negro history, but the Negro in history. What we need is not a history of select races or nation, but the history of the world, void of national bias, race, hate, and religious prejudice. There should be no indulgence in undue eulogy of the Negro. The case of the Negro is well taken care of when it is shown how he has far influenced the development of civilization. Dr. Carter G. Woodson. So Dr. Carter Woodson was expressing for us what race was really about then, and it is now, that we should appreciate, celebrate, and educate. It said then they sought to give greater recognition and prominence of the African experience in the world. Dr. Woodson, along with Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, noted Black scholars, sought to appreciate, educate, celebrate, and educate America and the world about reality, the truth, and the miseducation of Blacks and Negroes. The quote is a reference from Dr. Woodson's renowned book, The Miseducation of the Negro. The book was an important scholarship piece addressing the race and racism, hatred, and systemic injustice of Blacks and Negroes. The book sought to educate all about the unique role Blacks, Negroes played in the development of a democratic republic called the United States. That was then. Now, here in 2021, we have this moment in our history and the world to appreciate, celebrate, and educate our community, nation, and world about the Afro-American experience. On behalf of the City of Richfield Administration Office and my Office of Equity and Inclusion, we invite and encourage all to ACE Race, the African American experience, this coming Black History Month. So take a moment to learn and lead on to do community through our great diversity. And as I said earlier, we've invited some guests, and we'll be hearing from different guests over the next couple of weeks. And this day, we have with us Dr. Joyce Marrie, and we're gonna kind of hear from her and gather some of her thoughts about this experience of being an African American and what that has meant to her and how she has seen that in the world. And so we prepared some questions that we're going to ask her, and that she can give us some insights on how we can appreciate, celebrate, and educate ourselves about Black history. Dr. Marrie, welcome. Again, I want to thank you for taking time. I'll just note here, Dr. Marrie is a member, to say a citizen of Richfield. She is a part of the Richfield Art Commission. She served as co-chair last year. She heads up her own organization. She's a founder, CEO of Panorama for the Arts, Youth and Education, CrossRoads. And so she's going to kind of, first I'll just let her just kind of give us a little introduction. And so, Dr. Marrie, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Again, my name is Joyce Marrie, and I'm so glad that you have me and having this opportunity to be a part of this interview. I really enjoyed Carter G. Wilson. That is really great. The background, the history. I love history, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in our conversation.
Okay.
This is a time, like I said, been several years with CrossRoads Panorama, probably over 40 something years, just empowering young people in the community.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Let's go with some of these questions. What African American has influenced or inspired you?
Well, I could say several have inspired
Mm-hmm.
me. First of all, I would say my mother, because she would be number one.
Mm-hmm.
She gave us a spark to the arts because she would draw. She drew portraits of us when we were children. And I'm going to, kind of share that for you right
Okay.
now
All
because
right.
saying that's how, let's see here. I'll just share with you.
Okay.
Basically, she was a great drawer. And I took up some drawing myself. And I do appreciate those beginning stages of our childhood because a lot of times, she would have us go to the oh, I tell you, she'd have Big Brother, Big Sister, the Big Brother and Big Sister, well,
Mm-hmm.
Big Sister program in the community, and they would take us to various sites to be educated, and that empowered me as a child and to my creativity. Also, my late father, who he always wanted us to go beyond the box,
Okay.
and stretch ourselves. He always challenged us, even as a child. He would ask us to spell big words like
Mm-hmm.
Czechoslovakia,
Yeah. Wow.
and so we were challenged. He just didn't want us to just be just existing in the
Mm-hmm.
world, but he always challenged us. So that's what I could say. And also I want to say the person that really inspired me was Maya Angelou.
Okay.
She's a phenomenal woman, and I just really liked her class that she emulated. And so her poem, Still I Rise, I usually use that several years. I
Okay.
have quoted her Still I Rise. And so I do have a little bit, I want to share that with you.
Still I'll rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trot me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my own living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainties of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakening my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't take it awful hard. 'Cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise? 'Cause I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise up from a past that is rooted in pain. I rise. I am a black ocean leaping wide, welling and swelling. I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, and still I rise.
Our second question is, what aspect of the African American culture has impacted you? What aspect of our
I
culture?
am so glad you asked.
Mhm.
Because if all people know, I am just inspired by Sojourner Truth,
Mm,
because I had the opportunity several years ago to be involved in the Underground Railroad reenactment. And that was so
mm,
powerful that really touched my heart to the journey of Sojourner Truth when I started out researching her. And that's how I began to be educated, basically educated on her life and what she went through.
mhm,
I mean, she was, the pain and the suffering and the things that she's gone through. I mean, and to come out and be victorious for the whole. I mean, I look at her and I say, wow. I mean, what we go through today and what she went through, it was horrendous. And
mm.
so, and then to leave a legacy today
Okay.
was very impacting in my life too. And I continue to research her life, continue to act out her life as, like I said, I'm an artist. I love to write, act, and so forth. So
Mhm.
she is one of my icons in this journey of mine.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great. And again, tremendous woman. Her history, her legacy is quite noted. Our
Yep.
next, our next question is: what has been your experience in the African American community? And again, this things ranging from your earliest to even now. What has been your experience as an African American?
Well, my experience has been, as you know, several years ago, like I said, over 40 some years ago, I've been utilizing the arts and creativity that I have received. And it's a blessing because, when I look back in my writing and acting, and then for 30 years empowering our community to be educated, and as I'm an educator and also in the school system, public school
Mhm,
system, and mainly my craft is mainly acting and drama, theater, and
mhm,
so giving that opportunity for those that have not had the opportunity to be on stage and to perform, I give them that opportunity. Whereas some people that have studied acting or have engaged in some theater group,
mhm,
where I go to the streets and
okay,
go into the streets to empower those people. Sometimes homeless,
mhm,
you just never know who's involved, but that's where the stage of life comes in. They
mhm,
get to
mhm,
mirror their lives and to be able to come to grips with their lives and see themselves through the
mhm,
plays that are written. So role play and acting can be very powerful for a message for many of our people today to be healed, to see themselves, say, hey, do I act like that? We do all kinds of characters. So this is the opportunity for me to really get others engaged and to share, allow them to share their story as I
mhm.
share my story.
Okay, powerful. You made me think about when you mentioned about being involved in your work in higher education uh, and, and the community. I was just thinking about what we are now trying to navigate, in under the COVID and those things. Uh, what would you say to the teachers? What would be your message to those, particularly those who trying to work with our BIPOC and our community of color? Um, what advice would you maybe?
I think, really, Mr. Green, I really believe that it's very powerful for people to tell their stories
Mhm,
and to listen, and to hear what others have to say. I think this is conversation. And sometimes
mhm,
people have so much bottled up in them. Like I said, when
mhm,
I'm doing theater, a lot of people don't know what they want to do, where they want to go.
mhm.
But being able to have the opportunity that they begin to dream and to find their dream through the plays or
Okay.
through just interacting. Because in our rehearsals, we just don't put on a play. We learn social skills,
Mhm.
communication skills, and just learning how to work together as a team, and being able to respect one another regardless of differences.
Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we're going to
Mhm.
move to our next question here. What is your knowledge of the African American experience? I'm taking you a little deeper as it relates to the U.S. Again, maybe somewhat of a historical, but also in the world. How do you see it? How have you seen it uh, in the U.S. and in the world? What does that look like for you?
Okay, although there's been many struggles,
Mm-hmm.
and the struggle is real. We hear
Mm-hmm.
that all the time. The
Amen.
struggle is real,
Amen.
and the fight is real.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So our weaponry many times is fighting in this battle what we use. It depends on what we use. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's conversation, I mean, people use different kinds of
Yeah.
weaponry. But the struggle is real. I heard, and then I wrote down something about Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King said, he said, a beloved community requires more than loving one another. It
Mm-hmm.
requires working together to
Mm-hmm.
confront systems of discrimination and oppression.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about he did talk about despair a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and he said uh, about despair. He said it's like a stone
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
hope
Mm-hmm.
to transform the jingling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony.
Yeah. Okay.
It was once said by him, calling his dream a creative synthesis of love and justice.
All right.
And so that kind of stuck out with me, what he
Mm-hmm.
had said there. And I take it to heart
Yeah.
because it's more than just love. We can speak love and we can say love and we can
Right.
say I forgive you. Really, do we really mean it from our heart? And so one thing I would also say that the right tools to use, we need right tools to use, especially
Mm-hmm.
for thinking mentally, in the African American community, mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's there's so many disparities in our world today,
Mm-hmm.
from fear to pain. Just like I've talked about before about Sojourner Truth, what
Yeah.
she went through,
Mm-hmm.
the pain in our minds. We just our thinking process. When I say minds, I'm saying our thinking process, how we think, how we just even the ongoing of health issues in our life.
Right.
We have a
Yeah.
lot of health issues in our life
Right.
today, and so that's going on. So knowing that there are opportunities, we need to know that there's opportunities out there to be educated, learning how to be proactive and not
Mm-hmm.
combative. That's my thing, because we can talk and talk and talk, but really,
Yeah.
are we advancing?
Right.
Are we getting anywhere? And we can go back, like I said, Martin Luther
Mm-hmm.
King and what he has spoke in his many speeches. I mean, look back on some of his speeches; they're so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about Carter G. Woodson, we need to learn more, even more deeper about Martin Luther
Right.
King, because he's got a lot of writings. I remember when I was in um, Atlanta, Georgia, and I went to Morehouse School, and I saw some of his letters that he had wrote when he was in jail. So
Mm-hmm.
it was very powerful experience for me at that time. So, like I said, knowing that we have opportunities to be educated, and each one of us has a mandate. We
Yeah.
all have a mandate. to bring change.
Okay.
And how do we do it? We need to seek it out to where we go from there. Especially those that have gone on before us, we need to know that our lives do matter in
Amen.
society.
Okay. All right. That's good. My last question here, before we move to the next stage, is what is your message to the African American community and the world, and how they see us in 2021 and beyond?
Well, my message, would be for the world, and it's just short because you don't have to have a long, drawn out thing.
Okay.
But it's community, unity, unity, that matches.
Okay.
Community, unity. Listen, and then peace, love, stand up for what's right, tell the truth. Truth prevails over a lie, of course. So just tell the truth and let God be the center of your life. That's what I would say.
All right. All right. All right. Well, beautiful. I really do thank you for sharing those words of history, of knowledge, of purpose, for our communities, our African American community. So again, I'm hoping as you know, in my work here, we continue to reach out to the community along these lines of building our community, particularly our communities of color. And I look forward to the opportunity of working with you as you continue your work on the council and in many other ways. So thank you again. Again, we want to thank everyone, but we're gonna one of the hallmarks of the African American experience is the voices, the many voices that have touched our hearts, the melodies from many gospel songs, blues, you name it. But music has been a great part. And so for this conversation, I'd certainly like to close it out with a beautiful melody, a song. And we've invited our guests all the way from Florida. Is it Miami?
Yes, Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. We have with us the daughter of Dr. Joyce Marrie, Joy Mobley. Joy is a recording artist. She yet has some, what they call them now, that you can get. Joy, you can tell me. EP, yes.
Yes.
That's available. She have both a Christian and also a Christmas and a gospel EP that's available on which networks, Joy? You can tell us again.
Well, you can purchase it on all digital outlets, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, the list goes on.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, again, with that introduction, Joy, I want you to again give us your expressions in song, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you once again for having me. I'm so glad to be here with you all virtually to celebrate Black history. So I'm going to sing a hymn that's one of my favorites and that's very well known, and that is Amazing Grace.
Amen. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was blind, but now I see.
All right. Hey, I could say I feel like I'm in church. Amen.
Amen.
Well, Dr. Marrie and Joy, we want to thank you again for joining us in this community conversation and celebration of African American history. Again, closing with the words from our noted founder, Dr. Wilson. He has these words. He says that we have a wonderful history behind us. If you are unable to demonstrate to the world that you have the record, the world will say to you, you are not worthy to enjoy the blessings of democracy or anything else. But as you can see, our history says otherwise. And because we are yet sharing that history, we're yet participating in a world history, our message is still clear. We appreciate, we celebrate, and we educate all about our Black history. Thank you, guys. Again, we appreciate you, and we look forward to having other conversations for those who are joining us throughout this month. So thank you very much. Have a blessed day.